Hi, my name is Caitlin Stevenson, and welcome to my YouTube channel. In these next few videos, I'm going to be talking about the Rhetorical Act and reading pop culture for my media class. Woo! Let's get started. So, in this video, primarily, we're going to be talking about reading pop culture, which we're going to do Chapter 1, which includes Overselling Capitalism with Consumerism by Barber, and with these words I can sell you anything by Lutz, Toys by Bart's, Craving the Other by Ho, In Praise of Chain Stores by Postrel, and The Hard Sell, Advertising in America by Bryson. So that's what we're going to cover in this one. And in the Rhetorical Act, we're going to cover Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. And let's actually do this one first. So I had to read this one, and Chapter 1 is all about rhetoric. And what is rhetoric? So basically, rhetoric is the use of persuasion, and it's using language to get a message across. And so it had a few key points on what rhetoric is. It says rhetoric is public, propositional, purposive, problem-solving, pragmatic, poetic, and powerful. So a lot of P's for our persuasive use of language. Now, so it's public. Rhetoric is public, and that just means it's in the world, we're talking to people, we're using it as we communicate with others. Now, it's propositional in that it is, you're proposing something. That's really it. It's purposive in that you're trying to get a certain message across, and you're trying to get a certain message across. You're trying to convince people there's a purpose. You're not just talking to hear your own voice. It's also problem solving. So most of the time we use rhetoric when there's a problem and we have a solution and we want to propose that solution to our audience. It's pragmatic in that it's a practical solution, and it's very practical. It's poetic in that there's typically emotion used, and you pull on the strings of your audience, and there's a lot of emotion involved, and you can really touch people with using rhetoric. And last, it is powerful. If you were giving a speech and you use rhetoric and you use it well, it's powerful. You will persuade your audience, and you will be better for it. You could, if it's at work, you could get a promotion. It's powerful. It could make or break your career. So that was all in Chapter 1. It's all about rhetoric. What's rhetoric? Now you know. So Chapter 2, we discuss criticism and criticism and analysis. So let's get started on criticism. Oh, there it is, yes. Descriptive analysis is what it is. So criticism is a communication of an evaluation or interpretation of how rhetoric is used in a medium and how it influences us. Now, so there's 7 focuses of descriptive analysis, and when you are criticizing, you're using this descriptive analysis to take apart what that medium is, whether it's an article, a speech, a poem. You're criticizing it, and you're trying to figure out what it's trying to mean, what it's trying to convey, who's it talking to, is it doing this in a way that's going to benefit the author and make them convince, or whatever their purpose is, are they going to get that through? So there's 7 focuses that we have when we're criticizing and doing a descriptive analysis. And so the first one is purpose, and purpose is just asking, what are we doing here? What is this author trying to do? what ends are they trying to achieve? The second is audience. Now, audience is very important because if you don't know your audience, if you have no idea, if you're talking to old people, you don't want to use super high-tech language. So you gotta, are they communicating to their audience well? Do they know their audience? That kind of wraps into the next one, persona. It's your relationship with your audience. Are they your peers? Are you giving a speech and you're talking to the higher ups? And when your persona and your audience are important, because if you don't know them, then you can't connect with them and you can't get your message across. The next one is tone, and that is, are you using plain, simple, ordinary language? Are you being super loud and outgoing? And is that working for the author? Next one is structure. Very simple. It's any essay. Are they doing it in chronological order? Are they starting with the problem and then going to the solution? That's what you're critiquing. Is this structure? What's the structure, and is it good? Then evidence. What evidence is being used, and is it good evidence, really? And the last one, strategies. Are you using different strategies, different language, repetition? Repetition can often make people remember things later because you've said it so many times. So there's a lot of different strategies you can use. And yeah, that was chapter 1 and chapter 2 of the Rhetorical Act. Yeah. So now we're going to get into reading pop culture and all of its articles. So now we're on to reading pop culture, and we're going to talk about Overselling Capitalism with Consumerism by Barber. Now, in this article, it talks a lot about capitalism and how it needs those with wealth to want and need things to keep the economy going. But capitalism doesn't always focus on those who truly need stuff. Because most of the time those that truly need stuff don't have the money to put into the economy to help capitalism and consumerism. They can't contribute in the consumerism. Barber talked about how kids are being empowered to shop, how they now know brand names before they even are walking or really talking full sentences or anything. And a reason that consumerism and capitalism is being put on these kids is because childish behaviors are usually relaxed and leisureful. And so that is a mindset that consumerism needs and wants people to have, because it makes you buy things. You're impulsive. You say, oh, sweet, a new mug, it's super cute, whatever, I want to buy it. You're impulsive, you're just buying stuff, not really because you need it, but because you want it. Whereas they don't really want the adult mindset of being disciplined and saying no, saying, I already have over 20 mugs in my cupboard and I live alone, so I don't need any more mugs. I should go home and use those or donate some of those so I can help others. But so we aren't really satisfying real human needs. We are more focused on, oh, I need the new iPod, instead of focusing on, oh, these people in this other country need portable water because they live 10 miles away from the nearest safe drinking water well. And so, because we're not really focusing on it and we're not gonna put money into that, capitalism and consumerism and the economy is gonna put out more iPods, more sodas, more different it talked about how they need, like, we are focusing on MTV instead of teaching people their ABCs. And so it's a lot about we want something, we need something, and so that's being supplied, but not the inexpensive medicine that other countries need because they have a very high population of HIV positive people. So lastly, capitalism focuses on the wealthy and those that can contribute to consumerism, and they're not focusing on the real needs that should be the needs of customers, but we're not focusing on others. We're just focusing on ourselves and our childish impulses. So, number 2, with these words, I can sell you anything by Lutz. Yeah, so there are a lot of words that we think mean different things, but really don't. They're empty words. So when we see an advertisement, say you're sick, so you want cold medicine, and you see on a label, this cough medicine helps stop your cough. Well, does it help it, or does it actually stop it or cure your cough? It's an empty word. And it's one that's used a lot because help, at what degree is it helping? Is it going to suppress the cough, or is it just going to make your throat feel better? Another one was virtually. So a lot of cleaning supplies use virtually spotless, and that doesn't actually mean it's spotless. It's just virtually, which, empty word. New and improved. How new? How improved? So it's how, like, what was it before? What was wrong with it before? Is it better, or is it just different? Because most of the time, they can put this on their label, new and improved, but it doesn't mean it's actually better. It just means that they changed an ingredient. So yes, it's technically different, but does it work differently? Does it taste differently? What is it doing? Why? It's not really improved. It's just different. So new and improved is a big, almost lying to you type of advertisement. When we hear that things act fast, that is also something that you don't really know. It's like the helps. It's how fast is it actually acting? Like, does it really act fast? Like, does this pain medicine, will it take my pain away in 2 minutes instead of 10 to 15? Or is it even going to relieve this pain at all? Is it just, maybe the tablet is just faster at dissolving? We don't know. We need to think critically, and right now I don't know what this advertisement is actually saying. Another thing, like, acts fast is just like works fast. And acts and works, you're like, well, what kind of acting? What are you saying? What are you working? Is it like cough medicine? Is it going to work to suppress my cough? Is it going to work to put me to sleep so I don't notice that I'm coughing? I don't know what it's telling me is gonna happen. Another one is like magic. Yeah, no. That, I feel like by now we should know that, oh, it works like magic, it cleans like magic. There's no such thing as magic. So, what are you really comparing it to? Like, if we use our imagination, the bathroom will be clean. I wish that worked on my room, but it's still a mess. So one thing in like magic is another thing is the like. And anything with like is a comparison, not a result. So if you're saying, oh, this face lotion is like peaches and cream, which is an example that they used, and is it gonna turn your face into a big peach and there's gonna be cream on it? Is that what the face lotion is? Or is your skin gonna be soft like peaches and cream? What does peaches and cream even feel like? I don't know. Maybe it sounds smooth, but it's just a comparison, and I don't know, maybe you have gross, mushy peaches and rotten cream. Still like peaches and cream. So yeah, that big one is like. Don't listen to it. It's a comparison, but it's not telling you what's going to happen, what's actually your result. And so the article with these words, I can sell you anything, talks about how you really have to think critically as a consumer. And what is it saying? Not what is it trying to make me think? Because yeah, if you think, oh, it's like peaches and cream, you're like, oh, they want me to think that's gonna make my face smooth. But no, they don't want you to know anything. They just want you to, it doesn't matter what they want. It's what they're saying. We have to look at what they're saying, because yeah, they want us to think that, but will that actually be the result? So we gotta think critically and not give in to these empty words. And yeah, that was Article 2. Number 3 is Toys by Barth. And that was actually really interesting to me because, like, I was a kid once. I played with toys. I don't know. It involves me. But so it talks about, like, French toys are, like, mini real-life things. Like there's a mini kitchen, which I always wanted as a kid. Which I realized, like, I liked to cook, so that was a great toy for me to want as a kid. I also wanted one of those cars that you can drive around in, but I never got one. But instead, I have a Jeep, and I get to drive around in that and go off-roading. So toys really shape the way that kids grow up and what they think about and what they like, and definitely they're just reduced copies of human objects that are for, like, if I had a kid, it'd be a mini me. It's a mini toy for a mini me. But it's interesting because inventive forms are very rare. Building blocks, besides like Legos, there's not very many building things. Like, there's mini saws and mini hammers that you could play with, but that's still not inventive. You're not using your imagination to actually create something. Yeah, so it's teaching you how to use these. It's teaching you with your mini shopping cart how to shop in your little store. But you're never creating things they're never creating things themselves. One example that that Barth's uses is that we give little girls baby dolls, and that is conditioning them to be more motherly. And I didn't play with baby dolls, and for the longest time I was like, when I'm older, I'm not having kids. But I don't know, like, it's more around me, so maybe in the future I will have kids. But it's that baby doll that's conditioning a child to want to be a mother, to want to be caring, to want to have a little mini me. And so these toys are just conditioning children to think some way or be some way, and they're just users in this world that was created for them, and they're not really creating things themselves and expressing themselves. They're being kind of almost forced to play with these mini human objects. The The last thing that I thought was really interesting was that a lot of these things are just made of like chemical made in a lab plastic, which is very true. I mean, besides like stuffed animals, and I guess if you still have wooden building blocks, but that's, I think my age, like, we were probably the last to use it. And I'm 19 now, and so that was a long time ago, and now they're all Legos, and they're plastic, and they're chemical. But we no longer have wood. Like, I don't know, like, we don't have wood building blocks that as we use them, they change a little bit as well, and they change with us, and it's all unnatural compounds. But so, yeah, I thought that was really interesting, because when I was a kid, I actually had, like, a little car that was made of wood, and it was, like, you attach a rubber band, and you wind up the wheels with the rubber band around it, and then you just let it go, and it goes, whew! And that was super fun to me, and I really wish that they had more things like that, but now they have, I don't really know if Hot Wheels does that, but they have, like, cars and your Happy Meal or whatever, I don't know, and you pull it back on the table, and that winds it up, and then you let it go. But those are all plastic, and they're bad for the environment. Which is another reason why we should have more natural compounds. That's a personal opinion, not in the reading pop culture, but it really, these articles are there to make you think, and why do we have all this plastic when we also have this huge plastic problem? Speaking of plastic, I'm contributing to it, and disappointed in myself. But that was toys, and we're going to move on to the next article, which is Craving the Other, which is about a Vietnamese child that always wanted to make and eat American food, but couldn't because they were in a Vietnamese family. But it's, so Craving the Other by Ho talks about this author is growing up and telling their story and saying, like, when people would meet them, especially, like, college age, actually, let's talk about younger. So she would always have, like, food that their grandmother made and wouldn't want to eat it because that's not what the other kids are eating. So, but so didn't want to eat that. And when they would go over to a friend's house and they were having sloppy joes, you watch the other people around the table eat and see, how do I eat? How do I eat like an American? Because that's all life is. It's imitating others. We have role models. We have all these different things. And so we're always watching, and I mean, it's not the best way to live, but that's how we learn different things. That's really all that life is. We're just learning from one another. And so they would watch their friends eat this sloppy joe, like, oh, you put some coleslaw on it, and then you eat it, and you scoop up the sauce that dripped out. And then as the author got older, and in college, people would be like, oh, you're Vietnamese, I love pho, and then they'd be like, wait, how do you say it? But what's the right way to respond to that? If you're Vietnamese and a white person, Caucasian person says that to you, do you go, oh, you're white, I love tuna salad? Honestly, I'm white and I don't even like tuna salad, so... But it's like, there's no response to that type of, like, cultural statement, I guess you could say. It's, yeah. But so there's so many generalizations of a culture as a whole, and so people, chefs will go to other countries and they'll bring back the culture, but then they'll refine it. Oh, refined Italian cuisine. Was it Italian or is it not Italian? Because refined it's not authentic. So you're not saying it's authentic, you're saying, oh, I Americanized it. I added something to make it better. What makes it being American makes it better? Maybe it's our sense of pride that at this point, I don't really know why we have so much pride. But if you go to somewhere and you love their culture and you think, oh, this is so good, you should treat it with respect and you should make it properly, and it shouldn't really be like, oh, you're Vietnamese, let me associate you with this one type of food. There's a lot of different foods. There's a lot of different foods in American cuisine. So I don't know why if we love something like a culture, we need to treat it with respect. And that's all it is. And craving the other, the author talks about trying to make American food, like pizza bagels with like the stuff that was in her Vietnamese house. And it came up with some weird concoctions, but everyone's always trying to be like the other, the grass is greener on the other side, as it says. Or, yeah, so we need to respect one another's cultures. We need to embrace them and not try to change them. And so that was one big thing that I got out of this craving the other story, is that we need to respect one another's cultures. And yeah, so on to the next article of In Praise of Chain Stores by Postural. This was really interesting because it talked about how America, which I live here, so relevant, America is, how do I say this? Boring. We are the most boring place to tour because in every state, there's the same stores. There's Walmart, there's Hobby Lobby, there's Panda Express, Starbucks. Even though Starbucks was made like all the way on the other side of the world. Not world. Of the country. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but we got super boring. And apparently suburbs are the worst, which I've been through some suburbs and everything looks the same, and I am very directionally challenged, so it's very hard for me. But it's interesting to think that Starbucks was originally such a radical idea, and that they were like, oh my god, these chain stores, or I guess restaurant, chain coffee shop, it's crazy. But now there's one on every block, and it's super mainstream, and there's a Burger King here, and a McDonald's here. There's McDonald's all over the world. I've been to one in Germany. I've been to one in Paris. They're huge. Like, apartment building size huge. I don't know. They're massive. Not like apartment, but like apartments, like multiple. All that. One big McDonald's with a big M on top. But chain stores are crazy because everything's the same. Like, I went to Oregon State. No, I visited Oregon, and I saw Walmart as soon as I got off the plane. I saw Panda Express. I saw so many different, I saw Target. I love Target, but that's the thing. I love Target, so it'd be easy for me to move there. That's one of the things they touched upon in this, is that it's easier to move and make a new place your home because it has the exact same stores and what you're used to. So it's not even like you're really moving. You're just changing houses. So part of it was saying that, like, even sometimes, like, the name is all that really matters. Like, Starbucks coffee versus Pete's coffee. Like, why not? I bought it at a store and I made it at home coffee. Like, ooh, you gotta have that Starbucks cup with the logo. Because we're teaching kids to know logos before they can even walk. Consumerism. But yeah, so there's two very conflicting things in that people just want the name. But then in other places, you could sell the exact same goods and services that consumers want, and they're still going to buy it. But I think it's just that we're more likely to get that brand name item, because I actually did a little paper on this, but it like makes us feel more special and more connected with our community by getting the name brands. Not community as in like, because like you could take that as like, oh, local shops, community, like, but our community as in like the people we see on social media, on like our Facebook. Just sometimes like we see others that are our friends and you like meet at Starbucks for coffee. You feel more connected with actual people, not the community really. But yeah, so that was in praise of chain stores. I don't know, I wouldn't praise them that much, but I guess it makes moving easier, but it makes America boring, so yeah, I don't know. I believe, yeah, woo! Okay, we're on the last one. This video got kind of long, but whatever. The Hard Sell Advertising in America by Bryson. Now, that was very interesting because it talked about the Kodak camera, which was originally the detective camera, and how it created a mass market. And what was super weird about Eastman was that he worked to make his product better and cheaper, which doesn't, most people, you're like, oh, you want to make it better but more expensive, and that's how you make money. But really, he was making a name for himself, and Kodak is huge. Like, it's in songs. It's in pop songs now. Like, I don't know. Enrique Iglesias sang a song about it, taking a picture with a Kodak camera. But so it's super interesting because Eastman was also one of those people who first dropped some serious cash on advertising. He dropped $75,000, which is a little bit more money than $75,000 today. So that's like, I think they said like $1 million. Don't quote me. Maybe I'll check. I don't know. But yeah, so he dropped a lot of money on advertising, and others followed because it worked, and they found good slogans, because slogans are important. They don't even need to be accurate. Like ketchup, Heinz, I don't know. Still on some bottles today, it says Heinz ketchup, 57 varieties. There were over 200 varieties before it was even like marketed and got big. Over 200, not 57. What year is it? 2019? Like that? I don't know. It came out in the 1900s, so I don't know. But advertising, so there's three big things. There's the slogans, which are really good. People like them, they sound good, they get stuck in your head. Then there's giveaways, which people feel like, ooh, if I buy that product, there's a chance I could get $100. Who doesn't want $100? I'll take $100. I'm a college student. But then the third one was anxiety. So the 1920s was the age of anxiety, and people were like, ooh, you don't want to go to barbershops and have them shave your face. Like, they use that razor on other people. And you know what other people might have? They might have diseases, and you might get those diseases. Which before this, people were, I don't know, eating stuff off the ground. No, I don't know. Like, an apple falls from a tree, you just pick it up. You don't have to go to the store and, oh, organic. But so, yeah, and like, even like mouthwash. Like, no one used that beforehand. No one thought there was a problem. All these companies were like, there's a problem, but we have a solution. Buy this, it'll save you life and find you a wife. Great slogan, save your life, find you a wife. But there's radio ads, there's TV ads, and all these ads just lie to you, and charge a high price, but all this stuff doesn't matter. They're fake, or they're empty words, they're empty promises. You don't even know what they're promising you. But we don't want to be that weird person that their breath smells. Anxiety. We don't want to be that person. We don't want to be singled out. Even though we crave idealism or individualism. Whatever. We don't want to be singled out, and we don't want to get a disease because someone used the same razor on someone else that there were never any diseases that popped out from that. So, I don't know. The hard sell, advertising in America. There were a lot of ads. There were a lot of things. Thank you for listening. There'll be more soon. You can watch those. I'm sorry if it's long. I really like to talk once I get going, so